Greens or something?
This isn't romaine, right?
Should we first start by saying like how troubling it's been to get to this point where we can actually film the video?
This is the third time we filmed it in the span of 4 months.
Bruh, how'd you start modeling?
Oh my god, so how'd you get into modeling? When I was 14, there was a mother agent who was working in my town at the time, and he was signing the girl that lives up the street. He found me as well, and I was gangly as hell, and I was like this thin, and my eyes were too far apart, and so naturally the fashion industry ate that shit right up. And he took me to do my agency rounds in New York when I went, just like met with everyone, and I ended up getting signed. I think it was like right as I was turning 15 then. So I was still so young. I was in development undercover for about 1.5 years, and then my first big launch was Fashion Week when I was 16. This whole time this was happening, I was still in high school. But to me, school has always been really important because I know modeling doesn't last forever. We all know it. It's just some people choose to
acknowledge it,
and other people are just like, I'm just gonna do it until I burn out, and then I'll figure out what I'm gonna do. But I did not want to go to college at all. But by the time it got closer to the time, I did get really excited about it, and I knew it was the right thing to do because I really like the program I was in. It's really small, it's very focused, and it ended up being okay. Before I started modeling, I was like one of those really weird kids who just didn't gain weight. We were all on the same page there. I could not gain weight, and I was so skinny and so gangly, and just so, I'm gonna use that word at least
gangly's a mood.
times. It's a big mood. I could literally eat whatever I wanted, and I just wouldn't gain any weight. So my relationship with food was just kind of non-existent because I didn't ever think about what I was eating. I didn't care. I ate most of junk food. You remember, I was the pickiest eater ever.
We would just eat cinnamon rolls and what else did we eat, man?
I wouldn't eat by Chloe until you took me to it because I was like, vegan food? Oh no, I don't know her.
She's scared of it.
I was so scared of all those kinds of foods, but I never had to worry, so I didn't, and my relationship with food just didn't exist, basically. Our concept of hunger was like destroyed from Fashion Week because your eating schedule is just so out of whack. I remember I would just load up on carbs in the morning because I needed something to burn off from all the walking, and then I wouldn't eat like all day because I didn't have time, and then I would eat a ton at night, and that was just how it was. So I remember like before, when I was in school and the bell would ring for lunch, I would be starving, my stomach would be rumbling, and I would just dig right in. And then when I came back from Fashion Week and I went back to school, because I was still in school throughout all of this big mood, and I remember like the bell rang for lunch and I was not hungry at all, and that's just spooky. When you do Fashion Week, I feel like your concept of 3 meals a day is just lost. And it's even if you're, because I obviously was not starving myself, I just literally didn't have time, and I would forget because you have like 10 to 20 castings a day. And I remember my mom would text me throughout the day and be like, oh, what did you have for lunch? And I'm like, I didn't eat lunch. I remember the first season I went by myself, so I was like 16 going on 17, and I came home after the 3 weeks and my mom was like, you lost weight. And I was like, what are you talking about, sis? Like, no, I didn't. But then I went up, you know how you look in your own mirror at home, and I looked and I was like, and I think I lost like 10 pounds. So basically what happened, long story short, is I gained 30 pounds from this time last year to now. And I feel like I say that number and people are like, you did not gain 30 pounds. I mean, obviously I look like I've gained weight, but I don't think I looked like I've gained 30, but I don't know. I never worked out to stay in shape for modeling. I worked out because I genuinely liked it. Like, I was one of those weird people who was like, running makes me happy, and all my friends were like, are you out of your minds? And I'm like, no, it's really good for you. Like, I just loved it, and I ate healthy for the most part. Dance team, so practice, all that just added up, so I was always really toned and really fit. And then obviously I went to university and I was not on a dance team, had no motivation to work out every day, ate shit, to say the least, and started birth control. And like, no one ever wants to talk about that because it's awkward, but like, let's get real for a second. You gain weight, man. Yeah. Like, they were like, you're gonna gain weight from this, and I was like, bet, because I could not gain weight when I was a young teen. And then I went and I gained 30 pounds. I was like, shit, doc was right. It was really hard because everyone always used to say to me, like, oh my god, I would kill to have your body. I wish I looked like you. Like, you're so thin, you don't even have to try. And I'd be like, you never know how to accept those compliments because you didn't do anything. That's just your genetic makeup, and that's just the way you look, and you didn't really do anything to get it. Like, people always used to say that to me, and then when I gained weight, I found myself thinking that when I saw other girls at castings, because in the beginning of this past fall, I was still going to castings and very much in the modeling game, and I would see girls at castings and I would think like, oh, I wish I looked like you, but it was stupid because I was still so skinny at that point, and yet my mind was just, body dysmorphia is whack.
Crazy,
it's
dude.
whack.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely whack because you think that you've gained so much weight and you think you look so fat and so bad, but when people say, no, you look great, you look healthy, you literally think that they're lying to you. First time I ever had any instance of body dysmorphia was the end of 8th grade year, and I put on the tiniest bit of weight. It was literally nothing, and it's scary when you realize how powerful it is because I look back at pictures and I do not look any heavier, but my mind was like, you gained weight. And I remember I complained about it to my best friend Madison one time, and I was really upset about it, and she was like, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, how come no one else sees this? And then I remember when we were talking the other day and you were like, it's never the first thing that comes to mind, like, oh, BB gained weight. Like, I never thought that every time I saw you this past year. But then for me, it like consumes my mind. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, who's that? Mm-hmm. But everyone else is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, my mom, every time I would come home from college and I would drop the little remarks like, oh, I can't eat that because I'm chubby, or oh my god, I'm gained so much weight, she'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. I still fit into a size 2 jeans. Like, I'm a 2 to a 4. And yet I felt so guilty about that for so long. Like, oh, she's a 4 now instead of a 00. Like, a 4 is tiny. Like, now I know it. But this past year, like, I could not even bring myself to think that. Like, I thought that I was so big and it was horrible, and I like wouldn't go out some nights because I was like, I don't want to look fat in this outfit. You realize how stupid that is? Like, it's just crazy to me because now that I'm kind of out of that headspace of body dysmorphia, and I realize that I'm still he was like, oh, okay. All those times where I thought I had gained so much weight and now I look back at pictures of myself, I barely but it's just, it blows my mind that how powerful the mind can be, that it can convince you that you look so much different than you actually do.
That's so true.
Like, I had so many bad, like, this past year, like, I wouldn't go out because I thought I looked fat. I would buy clothes that were like 4 sizes too big for me because I wanted to cover up my body, which is crazy. It's such a weird thing to have, and we go through it so blindly. Like, people would, like, you would be like, oh, I'd never noticed you gained weight, and I legitimately would think that you were lying, and you were like, no, dead ass. Like, it's never something that I noticed. Anytime someone told me I looked healthy, I would be so mad. I'd be like, I don't want to look healthy, I want to look skinny, you know? Because people would always say that. They'd be like, wow, you look so healthy. And I was like, isn't it sad that that's not something you want to hear in the fashion industry? Like, that's the last thing you want to hear. To us, that's something negative, and that's just so sad. He said, you look so grown up, and that was the first time someone had said that to me where I didn't get angry. I was like, yes. You know, like, that was the first time that I was actually okay with someone saying that to me, and that's how I know that I'm getting out of that headspace. But this past year was just a nightmare. And I never realized how bad it was until I watched other people's videos. Like when I watched Samia's, and she was talking about how she was in this bad headspace because she's still high fashion, but she's a little bit bigger than high fashion, but she's still way too skinny to be in any other division. Or how Ali said, you know, I was so frustrated with myself because I didn't have the body that I have when I was 15. And I was like, that's it. And I didn't even realize that I had a problem with myself or the way I looked on such a bad level until I heard other people talk about it. And I was like, wait, I'm going through that too. Is that a thing? It's crazy how I didn't even realize anything that was happening within my mind until now. Like, this is the first time, and last time we met, first time I've ever been comfortable even saying any of this stuff. Like, even my closest friends had no idea, because you are in this bad headspace, but you don't know why. And then now I look back and I'm like, it's because I didn't like the way I looked.
You're taught to not talk about it.
And that's what I was saying the first time we all went out to dinner a month ago. I was saying to Ali, like, this topic has always been the biggest fucking elephant in the room in the fashion industry. And I'm so glad that we're all finally talking about it, because now I feel so much better about it. Like, seriously. When you're a success at YouTube. I'm really lucky that I never reached the point where I had a literal eating disorder and that it was just really severe body dysmorphia and that was it. But that in a way is almost just as detrimental because
it's also disordered. It's behavior. It definitely still exists, but
it's just crazy the difference between a 14-year-old's mentality and now I'm 19. I'm about to turn 20. What? Like, my mentality when I was 14 was just, this is fun and I like doing it. And I'm also very lucky that I was never really pushed around at the agency about my weight. Or when I worked out when I was little, it was because I loved it. But then as I gained more weight and I found myself having to go to the gym because I had to lose weight, I hated working out. I hated it. And that's why I think I stopped going to the gym this year, because I just didn't, the incentive, it's extrinsic, it's not intrinsic. I mean, I guess it could be if it was just for you to lose weight and get healthy, but for me it was I had to lose weight to get a job. And that's just whack. That's whack, you know? So when I would be home from uni and my mom would always drop in response to my comments of being like, I'm so chubby, I'm so fat, blah, 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 I can't eat that. She'd be like, 1, I don't know what you're talking about because you're still a stick. 2, I don't know why you're mad because you're a girl and you're 19 and girls' bodies change and that's what happens and it's not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be proud of. Like, you're growing into a beautiful young woman. And honestly, I would get so mad when she said that. I'd be like, shut up. But now I'm in the same boat and I think the same way as that. Like, growth is so good, and growing up, my body changing is like paralleling the growth that I'm going through in life, and I'm becoming a young, strong woman, and I don't know why we get so mad when we put on this weight, because it means that we're becoming so strong and so beautiful. And I just wish that I wish that I would have understood what she was saying sooner. I want to show what I looked like when this first picture is when I was 14, and then the second picture was like a few weeks ago.
Bruh.
That's what I looked like when I was 14. And I look at that and I'm like, no wonder the fashion industry was so interested in me. Because look how unproportionate my body is. Like, my legs are yay long and my body is this long. And that's me now. And honestly, yeah, I may have dealt with body dysmorphia, but I have an ass for the first time in my entire life, and I'm not gonna be mad about it. I'm not. I didn't realize I even had issues with myself until I watched these videos. So my hope really is that if there are still people out there who are going through this, just know that it's okay, because more people go through this in the fashion industry than you know, and they just don't talk about it. And this is the first time that people are talking about it. So that's why you might be confused with how you're feeling or what you've really been going through for no matter how long. I've been going through this since probably last summer. So that's like 10 months, and I didn't even realize what the hell was going on or why I was so sad all the time. But just know that if you are going through it, it's okay, and that eventually you will have this moment where it's all gonna turn around and you're gonna realize that the things people were saying to you were right, and that how my mom always used to tell me, I don't know why you're getting mad because this is part of life. Just remember that it is part of life, and it's nothing to be sad about or ashamed of because it means you're growing up. And that's such a beautiful thing, and I'm learning to embrace it, and I hope that everyone else does too.
Yay!
I feel like I'm giving a motivational speech. Attention, Montclair, New Jersey. Body dysmorphia will not get the best of you. Okay, I don't like myself. That was